Atma Namaste and welcome. Thank you very much for joining us for the continuation of the potential problems for encountered during spiritual practice in Arhatic Yoga. Okay, so you should have this in your Arhatic Yoga handout. So let us invoke for divine blessing first, shall we? Put your hands on your heart, raise it high up. To the Divine Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, we humbly invoke for your great, great blessings, your divine light, divine love, divine guidance, help, healing, and divine protection. Thank you for illumination. Thank you for divine oneness. Thank you for prosperity and abundance. Thank you for the inner strength to continue our spiritual practice. We thank you. With gratitude, take a deep breath. To the Ajna, with great respect. To the heart, with love, we thank you. Raise your hands again, a little bit lower. To our beloved teacher, Master Chokhok Sui, to Lord Mahaguruji Mailing, to all the great ones, all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, and spiritual helpers, to our soul, to our divine self, we thank you for your great, great blessings. We thank you. To the crown, with gratitude. To the Ajna, with respect. To the heart, with tremendous love, we thank you. In full faith, so be it. Okay. Welcome again. This is part 3. So just a quick recap. Part 1, we covered Kundalini physical syndrome. Part 2, we covered Kundalini emotional and mental syndrome. And the third one, we're doing Kundalini sex syndrome. All right, just as a recap, as mentioned in the last 2 lessons, a lot of people going on the spiritual path, things get stirred up. Tremendous amount of energy comes down, the chakras get expanded, the Kundalini is awakened. It's like pouring fertilizer. So in the first lesson, we talked about Kundalini physical syndrome, what goes on, the changes in your physical body, and how it affects you, and so on and so on. The second, we talk about emotional and psychological changes. And that's why a lot of you have to adapt with different things that are happening in your relationship. Some of us have to go through more impatience, anger, so on. So things get stirred up, and we talk about the causes, the symptoms, and the solutions. So today, we talk about Kundalini sex syndrome, and I'll just read it off the teacher's notes. Symptoms include increased sex drive, and number 2, uncontrolled sex drive. And what are the causes? Number 1, negative attitude about sex, overactivation of the sex chakra, insufficient practice of circulation of energy, insufficient practice of sexual sublimation, wrong mudra, and contamination. All right, let's talk about it a little bit. Some of you might have noticed, the more you practice Arhatic Yoga, the more energy goes down, from the crown down to the lower chakras. Kundalini gets awakened, and so on, so you feel good, lots of energy, healing power, so on, so on. Now, you also notice probably that sex drive gets increased. Well, it's something like this. The best way that we can explain to you is, if this is Kundalini energy, this is sexual energy. In order for Kundalini energy to go up to the upper chakras, it rides the sexual energy. In other words, it's just like the sexual energy is the vehicle, the Kundalini energy is the passenger. So without sexual energy or minimal sexual energy, Kundalini energy has difficulty going up to the upper chakras. So nature has provided a way where the more you do your spiritual practice, the more sexual energy is generated by your system, your body, so that the Kundalini energy will have a vehicle or a ride to go to the upper chakras. So it is normal, initially, that the sex drive becomes more intense. Now, of course, everything has to be the proper amount. So when the sex drive gets too strong, there might be something that we're doing wrong or something we're not doing enough. That's why the energy is not being able to be transmuted. All right? So first, he says, negative attitude towards sex. It's interesting, if you remember in the class, when you scan the sex chakra, when you scan the throat, the crown, and so on, when the person has a negative attitude towards sex, the sexual energy gets stuck in the sex chakra. If you remember in pranic healing, this was taught in the class that when you energize somebody's sex chakra, the energy goes to 3 places. Part of it goes down the legs, right? That's why you notice when the body gets older, the sex drive decreases as the body gets older, and the legs also get weaker because less energy. The sex chakra shrinks, less energy goes down to the lower chakras. What else? The second part the sexual energy goes to is the reproductive organs and the bladder. I think that's obvious. The third part, if you remember, energy going to the sex chakra goes up to the throat, right? Lower creativity, upper creativity, and goes up to the brain and even higher. That's why super brain yoga works. When you do the super brain yoga technique, you're basically what? As you go down, you bring the divine energy down, which activates cleanses the channels, then activates the sex chakra. When you exhale and come up, the combined sexual energy and Kundalini energy moves up to your chakras, to your throat, to your upper chakras, your brain, and so on and so on. So you have divine energy coming down, cleansing the channel, activating the chakras as well as the sex chakra. Then as you move up, you bring the combined sexual energy and Kundalini energy up to charge up your brain and your nervous system. And that's how you got smarter, right? How you get smarter, and also how your upper chakras become more activated and more energy. All right. So if a person has a negative attitude towards sex, that it's dirty, it's unwholesome, it's nasty, whatever, when you look at it as something that bad, like in a lot of very conservative religious circles, what happens is that sexual energy gets stuck. So instead of the energy being able to flow up, it gets stuck in the sex chakra. After a while, it builds up, and the energy becomes stale. So physically first, the sex chakra becomes so congested, certain physical organs might malfunction. Certain ailments might manifest. We know one person, she's a nun, okay, a sister in the Catholic tradition. She was telling me that in her convent, something like 70-80% of the sisters or the nuns had hysterectomies. In other words, the uterus was removed due to cancer, ovarian cyst, or so on and so on. In other words, there was a high incidence of problems in the reproductive organs. And she was also saying that a lot of the priests that they know also had similar issues where the prostate and the sex organ had problems. So when we were talking to Master Cho about it, he said, here's the problem. In the Catholic tradition, the nuns and the priests were instructed to be celibate, but they were never taught how to use this energy properly and channel and move it up to the upper chakras. So when the sex energy gets trapped in the sex chakra, it affects them physically and it could affect them psychologically. All right? So if you move your right hand, you say puritanical beliefs about sex. Okay? Now move your left hand. You say free love, anything goes. All right. Either one of this does not work. If you belong to this side, when you look at sex as something dirty and so on and so on, and only used for procreation period, and you just have a super narrow perception of it, then that sexual energy is not able to flow. It gets stuck in the sex chakra. So that's not good. The Kundalini energy cannot go up because the sexual energy or the vehicle or the ride going up doesn't go anywhere. On the other side, the extreme, free love, in other words, anything goes, have sex not 24 hours a day, but 3-4 times a day, every single day. So all the energy is expelled, right? In that case, it's not good either because there's no fuel, there's no sexual energy to go up. So either way, it's not good. So Master Cho is explaining, one, the energy is trapped in the sex chakra, it doesn't go up. The other one, there's nothing to get, there's no energy to go up because it's all used up, it's gone. So that's why, just like the Lord Buddha taught, the middle path. Middle path means what? You conserve your sexual energy to a certain extent. At the same time, you also have some pleasure and fun. So the middle path. The sexual energy is used by the person, right? Sexual instinct for procreation, for pleasure. At the same time, you conserve enough of it so that the Kundalini energy has a ride up. That's why you remember in Super Brain Yoga, it was taught that if you just had a sexual release the night before or the day before, doing Super Brain Yoga doesn't do much for you because when you go like this, there's not much energy to go up. Remember that? All right. So, number one, there has to be proper attitude. That's why if you remember in the Lord's Prayer taught by Master Cho, right? The Lord's Prayer given to us by the Lord Jesus, Master Cho's teaching on it is what? When you go to the sex chakra, the affirmation is, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Now, if you go to in more detail, lead us not into temptation. Lead means what? Lead means go in. So lead us not. It's an archaic way of saying do not. Lead us not into temptation. In other words, if your attention is just only in the sex chakra and stays there, well, there is temptation. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Deliver means what? Come out. So do not stay in the sex chakra only. Allow the sexual energy to go up. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. In other words, when the energy gets trapped there, the person goes nuts. Gets twisted because the sexual energy gets trapped. Clear? So one is proper attitude, saying that what? Remember in the affirmation message you taught in Lord's Prayer? Sex is good, sex is natural, but it has to be regulated. Regulated means what? Proper dosage, proper fun, but also proper conservation, so there's energy to move up. So number one is change the attitude towards sex. Have a healthy attitude towards it, so it allows the energy to flow. Second one, overactivation of the sex chakra. And this could be due to what? Wrong mudra, right? So if you remember in Arhatic Yoga, when you do your mudra, it's left hand on top of the right, correct? Okay, like that. Then where do you put the hand? Okay, I'm going to stand up, so I know it's going to be difficult for the camera to see the whole thing, but the whole idea is when your left hand is on top of the right, you put this hole, right? You put this hole where the navel and the secondary navel chakras are, like this. Okay? So that's the proper positioning. Now, sometimes when you put your hands in the mudra and your body kind of falls asleep, or you leave your body, whatever, the hand slides down to the sex chakra. Now, wherever this hole is, whatever is there gets activated. That's one. Number two, the reason you put this on your navel area, navel and secondary navel, in other words, this ellipse or this hole that you create artificially with your hands has to contain your navel chakra and the secondary navel chakra. So when you're doing your meditation, it's constantly what? Keeping body strong, the navel chakra, right? At the same time, the secondary navel chakra is also partially storing energy already. So if this one slides down to your sex chakra is constantly being stimulated and energy is trying to be put inside of it. So guess what happens to the sex chakra? Super activated. So the more you meditate, the harder it is to meditate because your mind keeps getting sexual, your body keeps getting sexually excited. So wrong mudra. Now the question is, how do you prevent that from happening? Number one, when you meditate, sit straight. You can put a pillow. Yeah? Put a pillow to rest your hands on. Or some of you, if you're wearing, if you're not wearing a dress, you're wearing pants, you can kind of situate your hand in such a way that if this is your pants, your trousers, or different countries call it different things, you can set your hand there so it doesn't slide down. All right? In other words, you put an apparatus so you can sit your hand there so that the hand doesn't slide down. All right? What else? Insufficient practice of circulation energy or circulating of the energy. In other words, you don't do proper Kundalini meditation. You do not circulate the energy properly, so the energy has a tendency to stagnate. So what is the solution? Do your Kundalini meditation properly and with the right mudra, so the energy is moving properly and proper distribution. Next, insufficient practice of sexual transmutation or sublimation. You were taught in Arhatic Yoga how to sublimate the sexual energy. So if you like, we'll just kind of review it for you. If you can just stand, or preferably stand. I'm sure you can still see the screen. So what you want to do is, by the way, if you're in your period, don't do this, right? Because you do not want to move the energy that is supposed to go out, the grayish energy in the sex chakra. You don't want to sweep it up to the top of the head, all right? By the way, if you forget about how to do this, open up your book on the spiritual essence of man. It's on the chapter on sacred sex. He talks about, and also has the pictures, the drawings on how to transmute this sexual energy. So stand straight. What did you do first? I'm going to do it sitting down because if I don't have much room to go back. But essentially, what do? You scan the crown. When you scan the crown, you are actually tuning into the divine energy. You sweep it down slowly. You sweep it down down, keep your tongue on your palate, you sweep it down, down, down to your sex chakra. So in other words, your hands moving down slowly, down to the sex chakra, and you stop there for a second or so. Then, for example, if this is a sex chakra, you sweep it down, you're now in the sex chakra, then you turn your hand upwards, it's like scooping, scooping. So the divine energy come down to the sex chakra, you scan your sex chakra, and you scoop that energy slowly up, 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 up to the crown and out. Clear? You bring it down to the sex chakra, let it sit for a few seconds or a second or so. Then, as the energy mixes, some of you who are sensitive will feel the energy mixing or tingling. You scan the sex chakra again. You see, when you scan, you're tuning into the energy. So as you scan your sex chakra, you slowly sweep up. Follow? That's 2. Scan your crown again. Bring the divine energy down to the channels, down to the sex chakra. Scan. Move it up. That's 3. Again. Down, 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 down to the sex chakra. Scan it. Slowly up. That's 4. 5. Down to the sex chakra. Scan it. Bring it up. We'll do it slower. Up, up, up to the navel, to the solar plexus, to the heart, to the throat, ajna, forehead, crown, the whole brain, out. Okay? Now 6, scan your crown again. We'll do it a little slower. Bring the divine energy down your crown, down your face, down to your throat, heart, solar plexus, navel, sex chakra. Scan your sex chakra, bring it up to the navel, solar plexus, heart, throat, ajna, forehead, the whole brain, crown, out. That's 6. Keep your tongue on your palate, scan your crown again, bring the divine energy down, down your forehead, ajna, throat, heart, solar plexus, navel, sex chakra. Be still, be aware. Scan your sex chakra. Slowly move it up, up, up. Sweep it up to the navel. Solar plexus. Heart. Be still, be aware. Enjoy the blissful sensation in the heart chakra. You can keep your eyes closed. Up to the throat. Transmuting sexual energy into love and then to creativity. Up to intelligence. Up to the forehead, the brain, the crown, release into divine oneness with God and oneness with all. Maintain your stillness and awareness. Keep your tongue on your palate. Move your hands down. Keep your eyes closed. Be still. All right. You may slowly open your eyes. Now from there, you're welcome to distribute the energy to different parts of your body. So you learn this in the class. You also learn in the book. I can't show you from here, but you can just check in the book. You kind of arch your back a little bit so that the energy is not in the front. It also spreads to the back. Then you bring one of your elbows up. Go to the side. You lean on one side, and then lean the other side. This is to distribute the energy left and right. Again, quick recap. What do? You sweep the divine energy down to the sex chakra, let it mix, and then sweep it up to the upper chakras. You do it 7 times. All right? And then from there, what do? You arch back for a few seconds, hold it, so the energy distributes to the back. You move to the left, you move to the right to distribute left and right. How do you feel? You notice it feels peaceful, like in meditation, and blissful? Because when that divine energy comes down, it cleanses. When the sexual energy with the Kundalini energy gently moves up to the upper chakras, it's being transformed. and then the upper chakras bloom. That's transmutation of sexual energy. You're supposed to do that at least once a week. All right? So if you notice that sex drive getting too strong, that's how you do it, to transform it so it becomes food for the upper chakras. All right. What else? Contamination. All right. Why contamination? If you have a sexual partner, and let's say the sex chakra of that partner is dirty, or compared to you, it's not clean. When you interact sexually, some of that contamination goes to your sex chakra, then the energy gets stuck. When the energy gets stuck, what happens? Instead of the sexual energy being able to flow, it gets stuck there. So your sex drive becomes more and more and more and affects the way you think. All right? So what are the solutions? I know there's this student in Florida many years ago. Before she has sexual interaction with her husband, she tells her husband to take a saltwater bath. And it's funny that she would offer it in a way that it's almost romantic, that she would offer it, tells her husband that it excites her. So she would actually do a sponge bath with salt on her husband, clean him up, including down there, and then they have interaction. So after she does that, she noticed that she can have sexual interaction with her partner without feeling a congestion in her sex chakra. So maybe that's one way to do it. Of course, the obvious thing is to be very, very selective with your partner, and or if you have someone who's, just say, the vibration is very different than yours, maybe before you have an interaction with them, you do distant sweeping on their lower chakras, clean it up thoroughly so that when you interact, there's less blockage or contamination on your part. These are the things that as you practice Arhatic yoga and higher spiritual practices that you have to watch out for, because your system becomes more sensitive. All right? So that's the meaning when he says contamination. So what is the solution? Number one, if the sex drive just becomes way too strong and transmutation is not working for you, is not working fast enough, you stop your Arhatic yoga practice temporarily. Let the system calm down. So that's first solution. Second solution, it's transmute the sexual energy more. And number three, if it's getting very difficult, have somebody do pranic psychotherapy. Maybe not only is it the sex chakra being too congested or the energy getting stuck or overstimulated, maybe there are negative thought form or elementals in the sex chakra. Have somebody do pranic psychotherapy, pull it out so the person is not obsessed with it. This is something that affects many people. It's just that in Arhatic yoga, Master Chua tells you the cause, the symptoms, and the solutions. Unfortunately, in other traditions, these are not always emphasized by the teachers. And so a lot of times people on the spiritual path suffer. In other words, they struggle. They feel guilt, they feel anger, they get in trouble, so on and so on. A lot of these could be prevented or solved if only the teacher has given them the solution to it. So we're very, very fortunate that Master Chua went through and gave us the solution for it. But the interesting part is this. It hits you when you least expected it. Because when you're meditating, you don't realize that the sex chakra is getting activated. So during meditation, your focus is on the upper chakras. You're meditating in the blue pearl. You're practicing awareness of the divine energy, the stillness. So you don't realize that the sexual energy is getting stimulated. Because, energy come down, it go up. You don't realize it. Then, at some point, when you're not meditating, you're not focusing on the upper chakras, you're not doing anything like that, then you start noticing that it becomes stronger and stronger. So until you realize it, you don't think that you have to fix anything, right? So what Master always says is, number one, practice awareness. Awareness in the sense that, hey, is it becoming too strong? So better do sublimation. Or what else? Don't wait for it to become too strong that you cannot control it. What do? Do self-cleansing, take salt water bath, make sure you do the Kundalini meditation properly, right? So the energy is balanced. Do the sexual transmutation at least once a week so that you do not allow the situation to get worse, or do not allow the sexual energy to get too strong. It becomes difficult to regulate. Now, one thing to remember, something like this could happen to anyone, all right? So when our spiritual brothers and sisters fall or make a mistake, the worst thing we can do is to condemn them. In other words, as they say, condemn the sin, not the sinner. Everybody makes mistake. All of us have done our share of stupid things, right? And one thing I remember Message would do to all of us, to my co-disciples, myself, and so on, so on, he would always say, look, everybody makes mistakes. The key is to let that person, help that person realize and help them through healing, guidance, counseling, whatever. Because the day that you point your finger and condemn someone, hey, you are, pervert, you're this, you're that, watch out. Make sure you never make that mistake at all. And we're talking about not just this lifetime, but other lifetimes. You know why? Because when we judge other people like that, in any way, in any of the defect in the virtues, you better make sure you don't ever make that mistake, because when that finger comes back at you, it's multiplied. It's just like whenever we tell somebody, why are you such a jerk? Why can't you control your temper? So on, so on. When you keep doing that, you watch out. Make sure you never have that problem, because when that table turns around, the fingers pointing at you will also be multiplied. So the key is to understand that, hey, this happens, do healing, go to some form of therapy, more sublimation, or stop the practice for a while, let things calm down. It could happen to anyone. All right? So this part on Kundalini sex syndrome, a lot of people don't like to talk about it because it's kind of if you're conservative, you giggle, you don't like to talk about it. It's something that is part of your life, part of your physical life, your relationship. It's also a vital part of our spiritual development. Because as mentioned before, Kundalini energy, sexual energy, two sides of the same coin. When they go up to the upper chakras, they go up together. So sexual energy is a vital part of the spiritual practice. The key is to understand. When you understand, you know what's going on, you know the situation, you know how to regulate it, and you know how to harness it. All right? So that's it. This is a short session. I hope that it has at least shed some light on some of the things that's happening to you, your loved ones, other people, your friends who are doing some form of meditation. As mentioned before, sexual energy is a powerful force that can actually help propel you to higher spirituality. That's why in the Lord's Prayer, what does it say? Sex is good, sex is natural, but it has to be regulated. It can be transmuted, into the heart. For what? Up to the heart into intimacy and loving kindness, right? Sexual energy can be transmitted into intimacy, up to the throat, into creativity, up, as you go to the chakras, to the crown, into divine oneness with God and divine oneness with all. So it is a sacred force or a sacred energy. All right? I hope that helps clarify certain things. So I think that's it. Very short, but to the point. And the next session will be on accelerated learning and development, which is karmic syndrome. This is a big one. A lot of people don't realize that it is part of the spiritual path. And the nice thing about this is Master Choa lays it out very, very clearly. And what are the symptoms? What are things to watch out for, and how to fix it when things, don't go your way or things temporarily go wrong. All right. It's called Kundalini karmic syndrome. This is a very big one. A lot of times people don't realize why is it that when they enter the spiritual path, certain parts of their life come crashing down. Their finances, their relationship, their health, so on and so on. A lot of it is what you call karmic syndrome. We'll cover that in depth on the next session. All right. So I think that's good. And I think that's it. Let's give thanks, shall we? To the Divine Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, we thank you for your immense blessings. Lord God, thank you so much. Thank you for blessing us with the ability to regulate and harness the sexual energy to increase our ability to love, our intelligence, but most of all, our divine oneness with you and oneness with all. Lord God, thank you. With gratitude, to the Ajna with respect, to the heart with love. Raise it back up. Slightly lower, to our beloved and respected teacher, Grandmaster Tokok Sui, Lord Mahaguruji Mailing, all the great ones, all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, and spiritual helpers. We thank you. Thank you for all your blessings. Thank you for all your teachings, help, guidance, and divine protection. We thank you. To our soul, to our divine self, we also thank you for your cooperation. With gratitude, take a deep breath. To the Ajna, with great respect. to the heart with tremendous love, we thank you in full faith. So be it. All right. So I hope that this short session, you'll be able to learn a lot, or at least remind you of what you were taught in class by the teacher or the teacher's representatives. What else? And practice the sexual transmutation. I hope that with that little practice we did, it'll remind you of what you need to do. All right? I think that's good. Atma Namaste. Thank you very much for joining us. Please leave us some feedback as always, and thank you very much for a lot of you who are contributing financially to the spiritual video ministry to keep it free. We'd love to continue it. So thank you very much again. God's blessing be with you. Massachusetts blessing with you. Mahaguruji Mailing's blessing be with you and your family always. All right. So you take care. We'll see you next time. Bye.